Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're looking at superheroes who got exposed. What does that mean? What do you want it to mean? We're looking at heroes who were revealed in some way, and it has to have changed their lives also. Some of these heroes were villains all along, others lost anonymity, and some were revealed to be something else entirely. Are you intrigued? Excited? Good. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 superheroes who got exposed. Let's do this. Number 10. Batman, Tower of Babel. Batman is now well known as Mr. Contingency Man, the man with a plan, several plans actually. But there was a time when this wasn't the case. In fact, pre-Identity Crisis, Batman was more chill, although the paranoia and rough edges of his personality had been amping up since the 90s. Case in point, this storyline. So an arc would be unveiled where it would be revealed that Batman had a series of secret takedown plans for all his allies and friends, that he was keeping what was necessary on hand to take them down. His plans are stolen by Ra's al Ghul, who uses them to defeat the League. Because he has a plan for Batman, he steals his parents' bodies. That all it takes? Just renting one backhoe means I can commit all the crime in Gotham I want? Sign me up. This event would become a core staple in Batman's relationship with the League, and would alter how they came to view him. Although, in more updated canons, it has come to be viewed as more accepted and practical. Batman is voted off the League, with Superman as the deciding vote. But when they go into the room where he was being kept and waiting, they see that he's already gone, because he was good enough friends with Clark to guess how he was gonna vote. He knows him. Number 9. Omni-Man. This comes to us from the comic Invincible, which actually centers around Mark Grayson, Omni-Man's son. Omni-Man is the Superman type hero of this Earth, but he had a secret, a twist that wasn't revealed for issues. He wasn't sent to Earth as a savior as he had claimed, but instead was sent as an advanced scout so that he could prime the Earth for the eventual invasion. His son was him breeding with the local populace for a built-in ally who would also share some of his powers with him. He would make his moves against his allies and friends, people, well, they thought they were his friends, and he would brutally slay some of them. One of them got decapitated. And his son would eventually turn against him, for a time. This would of course destroy his reputation on Earth, and leave his son with quite the mess to clean up, and obviously being observed. The public is not as distrustful of him as you would think though. Number 8. Maxwell Lord. Now Maxwell Lord was not a traditional superhero by any means, but his betrayal and, well, retcons are amazing. He gets his cred by bankrolling and promoting the JLI, that being the Justice League International, as well as himself. It appears at first that he just wants a sanctioned version of the Justice League out there, and at first it's pretty straightforward. But a retcon, well two actually, would turn Maxwell Lord into a mastermind who would be using the Justice League to strengthen his position, and also hone his psychic powers, and keep an eye on people he felt were threats to the Earth. This was by finding a way to control them. It turned out he had been doing his best to make the JLI ineffective. He would create the OMAC and would control Superman and force him to battle Batman and Wonder Woman in an attempt to show the world that metahumans were dangerous. It is here when Diana figures out what is going on that she decides her only option is to kill him. Next nap. Number 7. Dick Grayson, Forever Evil. The New 52 would give the world a rather dramatic pivot to the Dick Grayson arc, which would see him shift from Nightwing to Grayson, agent of Spiral. So during Forever Evil, where the crime syndicate of Earth 3 took over the world, Nightwing found himself captured and unmasked on live broadcast for the world to see. So everyone learns that Nightwing is Dick Grayson, meaning half of them go to look up just who Dick Grayson is. Which really, if you follow the trail back, should have revealed way more than it ultimately did. He would die but be brought back to life, but the status quo for most heroes, at least what they would know, would be that he was dead. Which would lead to him going undercover as an agent of Spiral, so that him and Batman could figure out just what was going on with that agency. So we would get Grayson, the Spiral comic. It was full of more cheesecake than you could eat. We're real instead of metaphorical. Number 6. Galahad. Galahad is a hero from Mark Waid's Insufferable, a series that was meant to drive digital comic sales and prove digital comics could be a viable medium. It didn't exactly do that. Galahad is the son of Nocturnus, and the two were living a Batman and Robin dynamic duo crime fighting sort of experience, only with resentment, bitterness, and the friction of fathers and sons being more prominent. It was to the point where it ultimately overwhelmed the mission. One night Galahad would trip out and remove his mask, screaming at his father in front of a bevy of reporters. This would out the both of them. While Nocturnus would burn his identity and go on the run, Galahad would embrace his newfound notoriety, and he would become a Twitter celebrity. He would broadcast his exploits to the world. He went full troll too, like replying to people on forums late at night. Don't reply to people on forums. Don't do it. Number 5. Spider-Man Miles Morales. After Miles gains his powers at first, he is horrified by them and wants nothing to do with a superhero life. But he would ultimately, pun intended, change his mind after witnessing the death of Peter Parker's Spider-Man at the hands of the Green Goblin. So he would put on a spider suit and set out. But the rest of the superhero community would find this offensive, especially since he was wearing the exact same costume. So Spider-Woman would arrest him and unmask him, which would reveal to the rest of the supers just how young he really was. S.H.I.E.L.D. enlists his help, aka lightly blackmails him, and after he aids them, he gets his new, now iconic black and red costume and the blessing of 616 Spider-Man. Hooray! And so Miles was on his way. He was only exposed to the rest of the superhero community, so that's better? Number 4. The Deep. We're talking about the Deep from the Amazon Prime TV series The Boys, not the Garth Ennis comics of the same name. The characters are depicted very differently. Here the Deep is an insecure, power-hungry, Aquaman-inspired hero who uses his power and position to assault a fellow member of the Seven, Starlight, who eventually cracks and tells the world what he did. But it's very vague. Still, that exposure on television is enough for his handlers over at Vought Industries to figure out who it is. And so as punishment, and to hopefully prevent future incidents, the Deep is shipped away to a middle of nowhere town, especially given his stature, and has sad adventures with sea creatures and other things that happen involving gills. Not all exposing has to be big to have big consequences. Number 3. The Plutonian. The Plutonian comes from Mark Waid's series Irredeemable, which charts the spectacular downfall of the Superman-style hero, the Plutonian. The Plutonian had his superhero identity exposed by the woman he was dating, who he loved. When she found out he hadn't told her, she flipped out, saying he was a liar, and so she ran to the media booth where they worked and screamed at the top of her lungs that he was the Plutonian. Just like that, his entire life was shattered, his identity was useless, and he became the Plutonian fully. He was already unstable, being able to hear everything people said about him, the whispers, the judgments, the snipes, despite all he did, and began to brew inside him, and he would disassociate, becoming more cruel and engaging in odd behaviors. He would fully snap when he truly did make a mistake and knew he would not be forgiven for it despite all he had done, because he could hear people already. And so he killed to keep his secret, and set himself firmly on the path towards becoming irredeemable. Number 2. Batman Arkham Knight. The Arkham series video games are classics at this point, established as their own verse. At the end of Arkham Knight, the third game, which was released in 2015, Batman is captured by the Scarecrow, who forces Commissioner Gordon to unmask him live, broadcast to the world, revealing that he is Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne remains Batman for as long as the city needs him, so one last night, before instituting the Nightfall Protocol, which leads to the world believing he had died. Intense, that ending is intense. The game series is such a good time. And number 1, The Confessor. Astro City in at number 1. Finally, it's a good day. The Confessor makes up part of Astro City's trio in so much as they have one. The first Confessor is Jeremiah Parrish. He came to Astro City as a young priest in 1869. When a stoneworker got injured, he went to take care of him, but found himself drawn to a woman there, so he kept going back, only for her to be revealed as a vampire. She turned him, and then he was chased away by the townspeople, and he walled himself up in the very cathedral he had helped build. He didn't emerge properly for over a century, when he came back out in the 70s and he decided that it was enough brooding, it was time to be productive. So he tried his hand at being a superhero. He would eventually take on a sidekick called Altar Boy, and the two would work well together but also be at odds, as Brian Kinney, Altar Boy, could tell that the Confessor was keeping something from him. At this time, the situations of heroes versus the public escalates to something pretty negative. The heroes are being hunted down. While Brian quits under the pressure, the Confessor can't, and he ends up having a battle on the hillside with the mayor, and it all looks pretty bad, especially after the Confessor shoots him and he's pinned to a tree. However, at that point, the mayor morphs back into his true form. He was an alien. However, in this process, the Confessor had to reveal himself in daylight. Not only was he revealed to the world as a vampire, but he died. His former sidekick would be so inspired he would take up the mantle in his name. And because of the confusion over what had happened, people would mistake him for the first Confessor and believe that he too was a vampire. Something he used to his advantage as much as possible. So those were 10 superheroes who got exposed. Please, can you think of any more? What are your favorite exposures? Let me know down below. I'm Sash, and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. See you again soon. Bye!